What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session here, getting ready for the New York session. Hope everyone is well and doing great. Whether you're joining us now live or on the replay, we're getting started a couple of minutes early. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes before we get really into the markets right now, give everyone a chance to get into the room. Let's see. Looks like the indices are actually opening up pretty about 0.5% S&P futures. That's pretty interesting, right into this resistance right over here. Why is that interesting? I guess that the markets feel like everything bad is not good. Let's see if we sell off here and hold this opening gap or not. Obviously, the markets were down hugely yesterday. Bitcoin, and again, I'm just giving ourselves a couple of minutes here before I really get into the analysis, just taking a peek around. Bitcoin is back up into this resistance over here that we have between 91 and 94. What do we have happening? We have on Friday, I believe, is the rollover of the CME futures contract. Normally, you see a sell-off going into that, and then after, what normally you see is backed traders come in and pick up a lot of volume. I don't know that that's going to happen this time around. I think Bitcoin's got a lot of momentum behind it. I know the open interest is really high right now. Normally it does sell off over here. It's coming into this resistance. Let's see if it gets a look at 94 at the resistance up there, and let's see what it's able to do and how it reacts off that resistance up there. Right now, obviously, everything is looking healthy and going according to plan. Looks good. Mima, you're the best. Appreciate that. I think so. I think that you guys all rock. Let's look at gold this morning. Let's start off gold and then we'll start getting into it. Gold looks pretty great. Not much to say about it. You know, again, if you don't hold any, you got to get some, and you got to get some before it gets away. And, you know, we could wake up one morning, gold could have got away from us. Silver also, right? But so what does this look like technically? Let me just peek down here. So, I mean, I don't know how much weight I give this trend line, right? The reason I have that trend line in there, it comes back over here. You see all these touches, and now we're up into this area, and you could see that it's still really the market is leaning off of this trend line. So, you know, we're back in testing this broken over here. It was holding as resistance, broke above, and now it's holding as support. If you resume off there, might not be a bad play. And adversely, you get below here, and I think that you got to look for further selling. The support is still valid down here. Not easy to be trading in and out of gold at this moment. DXY pumping to new highs. We're at 98.08. You know, we still got a lot of room before resistance, but that does not mean that it can't turn at any time, right? Boom, boom. Canadian dollar strong today. Canadian dollar strong with a strong dollar. So what happens here? Well, I don't think anything yet. I think you should really need to be watching this pair right now. If the dollar starts coming off, if the Canadian dollar is able to get below this support here, taking it to the downside, looks like a good trade to me. I'll be watching it. If the dollar keeps pumping and gets up into this pocket of resistance up here, then, and the Canadian dollar, thinking ahead, is up here, that looks like a good opportunity to short the US dollar, Canadian dollar. So this pair, I'm definitely stalking. I'm watching this one. What happens to altcoins if Bitcoin pumps? Well, I'm not sure. The altcoins have been at least the as quote unquote large market cap altcoins. You know, EOS, Litecoin, Ethereum, XRP, they've been they they've been participating in this rally, right? If Bitcoin trades consolidating sideways, I think that somewhere around 9,000, then I think those altcoins, those major altcoins, have a good chance of actually pumping higher. If Bitcoin takes off, I don't. I think Bitcoin leads the way. So if Bitcoin trades sideways and consolidates around 9,000, right? Between 9,000, 9,400 up in this area, and for a prolonged period, that will give the opportunity for these to pump. Otherwise, I mean, I'm more focused in on the halving. And generally speaking, Bitcoin leads not only into the halving, but then also for the first 6 months after the halving. It's usually then when you see headlines in the media about Bitcoin making new all-time highs, and now Bitcoin's trading $20,000, now it's trading $30,000, that all of a sudden everyone who 4 years ago saw the headlines, now they want to get in, and they say, oh, Bitcoin's too expensive. What could I buy that's cheap where I think I can make more money? And then alt season begins. All right, Raj. Boom. So Australian dollar has a bit in it today, right? So the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Wow. Trying to hold on one second. 92954. 92954 right here. Nice trading me, ma. We remove this now. All right. Let's keep going. So Blair, okay, this is a good place to start. We'll start here on the calendar. We have consumer confidence today, CPI out of Australia. I'm prone to sell any spikes of Australian dollar, spikes off of this news. Tomorrow, this is the big news, FOMC. This is at 2 o'clock, and then 2:30 is the press conference. This is after today's session, I think, where all the market focus is going to be leaning and waiting on, and then the following day, Bank of Canada. Now, we are seeing a little bit of risk today, but not really, not much. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, you can see is coming back down and making lower highs off of this sloping resistance over here. So it held the support so far, but it's come immediately up into the next resistance, right? That's not looking so bullish. I think you need to get above right here, 74, the whole number, to even consider having any type of relief rally. But right now, this looks pretty bearish. So let's talk about what the situation in China. Things do not look to be improving at all. They look to be getting worse. The only positive thing is I don't see cases overseas really picking up steam. I think there was a new case somewhere yesterday, and someone in I believe in India died of the virus, but in China, the cases and deaths are increasing at a exponential level. And who went ahead overnight and actually escalated the risk to high. I'm surprised we didn't see more of a move on risk. I think this is not only a situation about, as far as pricing in the threat of the virus, but I think, it's going to be, we're starting to price in a global slowdown, right? Because the Chinese economy during SARS accounted for about 8% of the total world GDP, and today accounts for 20. These cities in China are on standstill. There's, nothing's happening. Factory workers aren't going to work. Everyone's in kind of isolation. We're going to see a significant slowdown. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like it's contained in China, but the problem there is that there's this incubation period. A lot of people have left China. I think we still need a couple or a few more weeks to say that. Um, and yeah, that's the other point. I actually made that point on Twitter this morning. Someone was talking about the mortality rate, and I said, well, if you're in finance, you don't trust any of the numbers coming out of China. So why would you trust the numbers as far as this? Can't trust the numbers. They have to be the official numbers are really high. So the real numbers must be really, 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 really high. So Australian dollar, US dollar, boom. What's happening here? We know that we have a strong dollar, really, really strong dollar. Is the Australian dollar bottoming out here at this support? Hold on, let me make that a little darker so we all could see it. So you got this support over here and this trendline support. Australian dollar is holding up. Look, I think it's going to break through this support. I genuinely think that. If whether or not we get a bounce here, and the ideal situation would be to get a bounce all the way back up to this resistance. If that happened, I am definitely interested in seeing how price reacts off of it and seeing if it resumes downwards, which at that point I would be very interested. The same as when we were looking up here, it was clear it was going to break this support. It looks like, again, I don't really think the support's going to hold here. Whether or not with the CPI numbers out of China this evening, I don't know what happens in the near term. I'm not saying we break here during New York. That depends a lot on the dollar. And I think any spike here off this news is just a chance to look for an opportunity to short it. This is not looking good. And, you have to, the Australian economy is so tightly tied to the Chinese economy. All right. I wouldn't try to be a hero here. We got a lot of downside momentum. I think you have to let it prove itself before looking at taking longs. And this is trying to pick a bottom at this point if you're trying to go long here. And I'm not saying we can't see any type of reaction off the CPI. It could cause us to waterfall down below this support, or it could cause us perhaps to come back up towards this resistance over here. I would not be looking to take this trade right now on the long side. There's just too much going against it right now. Yeah, let's take out the US dollar, Japanese yen, and then we'll check out the euro, Japanese yen. What's up, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, even good evening over there, Martine. This is the US dollar, Japanese yen, and it's so far it's just kind of consolidating at around this support. And it does it. I just moved this down to the bottom. The closes and opens here of these bars, which also is the peak over there. So that's a better look. It's having trouble breaking down further. Dollar is very strong. As far as I don't know. It's very undecided for me. I don't have an edge here. I'm on the sidelines. US dollar, Japanese yen. How else could whoever's looking at it? How do you play it? Are you playing the dollar strength here against yen weakness? Yen is pretty strong, right? Dollar could continue up onto this resistance up here. It's got pretty strong resistance above, and it's not to say that we're going to make it all the way up there, right? We're coming off a big move here. Eventually the dollar, is going to come off for a little bit and retrace a little bit. US dollar, Japanese yen is, the yen is still strong today, right? And you're playing two safe haven bets right now. Strong US dollar, strong Japanese yen. I don't see it. I prefer playing strength versus weakness. All right. Euro, Japanese yen. Um, trying to get a good look here at whether or not how valid this support line I have here is, and it looks pretty good. The closer we get to it, the more of a chance you have definitely for this support to hold. And the reason I say that is because the euro is getting close to support also. All right, so there is an opportunity here to take a counter trend trade, and right now, as we're breaking out of this channel over here. So we broke out down over here, but got back into it, and now we're really breaking down, and we took out the low over there. So this is quite bearish. I would prefer selling off of resistance here, but there is the possibility that this support in this area holds, and we retrace upwards, and then it's a question of ideally this area over here, if we get all the way back up there, would be a really nice place to look to sell. But I don't think that this yen strength is going to abate anytime soon. I, I don't see it. Right? You could get small retraces. I'm not taking any trades against the yen. It's just too strong. You saw that happen yesterday after the close of New York. You saw yen pairs come off a little bit. You know, the pound Japanese yen, Australian dollar Japanese yen, but those moves were sold. And that's the game plan that we had yesterday, was looking for any type of retraces and then selling them. And you could see this was during Asia right here. And you could see that this was the close of New York. Price came all the way up to here and is sold heavy and hard. And, I don't, this was during Asia, London sold, and the momentum is not there, but you had such a big move down. I can't imagine stepping in the way of that. It seems too risky to me. I'd rather go with the strength. Yeah, I'm still holding my pound Japanese yen and my Australian dollar Japanese yen. I'm still holding both of them. So, and yesterday, after the close of New York, before Asian Open, I took a small piece off of. I didn't take a small piece off. I took half my position off the Australian dollar Japanese yen, and I kept my full position pound Japanese yen. And the only reason I took a piece off of the Australian dollar Japanese yen was because I was heavily positioned into it. So now I just have a really good size position on, and I'm holding those positions. I'm not looking to give them up. I know here on the pound Japanese yen, we got the central bank meeting. You know, I'll see what happens. Right now, I'm holding both of those positions, and I'm not looking to give them up. The Australian dollar, Japanese yen is unchanged on the day. We'll see. Again, I keep looking every night when China releases their numbers, and the numbers are getting exponentially worse. And those are the official numbers. I know the real numbers are much worse. I know that the virus hasn't spread very much overseas, but there's a couple. It's about a 2-week window, 14 days, where we need to see, because the virus could be spread while it's not showing symptoms. A lot of people left the province, and it's just an unknown, and there's a lot of risk there. Well, I'm interested here at the pound US dollar because I haven't checked in on it. I don't know where we're at right now. So we've broken down out of this trend line support. I give someone a heads up yesterday afternoon. Price was over there. Listen, my gut instinct here is that we receive a cut on Thursday. The reason being, it's Mark Carney's last meeting as governor of the Bank of England. And, you saw that happen with Mario Draghi. He, before Christine Lagarde took office, he went ahead and initiated QE. And usually, the leaving member, if they go ahead and do something like that, it kind of, it makes it easier for the incoming governor. So although the market has it at 50-50, I'm leaning more towards a cut. You're breaking down now here out of this this trend line. You lost it. That's a very negative sign. You have to hold this support here. If you don't hold this support, I think you're coming down and we're testing down here. Maybe that means that the rate was cut. If that happens, is there a chance this support holds? Look, you have a better shot right now at taking along here if and when the DXY is also into this resistance. Okay. And if you measure the moves, that's about what should happen. Right now, you can't come in here and be in hero and take a long because everything is negative and bearish. You just broke a trend line, right? You got to get back above this trend line and back above the support. And you have a lot of work and a lot of resistance overhead. And maybe the dollar comes off and maybe they don't cut rates and maybe we're back above here. Above this resistance over here, you could be bullish on the pair. Right now, you have to have a bearish leaning tint. You could still trade long off of this support if you come down into it. Right now, you have a bearish. If you're holding short, you continue holding. You don't look to go long here. That's the way I see it. Yeah, Martin, I think the Japanese yen. My bias is towards the Japanese yen also. All right, pound coming off though. All right, don't get in the way of that. Let's make it do its work, make it prove some levels to you before you get long, or wait for this support over here and get a better. Buying off a strong support looks better, right? And the only reason that this support you could look to buy off it. Look, this is the resistance of this consolidation over here. That area is held, right? So if you come back down into it, and you want to take a long, all right. I see it. I buy it. It's a good place to lean off of if price shows you. Where are we at? What else is going on? Euro, New Zealand dollar. I give this a bullish bias here above this. It looks like it's broken out above the resistance and it looks like it's holding to me. New support, price resuming upwards here. I definitely lean long here on the Euro New Zealand dollar. Actually, I think it's going to be a good trade. I definitely have a bias to the upside there. Euro, a British pound. All I see, it's coming off this support. I don't like it at all, either which way. And wait to see what happens on Thursday with the Bank of England before even thinking about this pair. I know we already looked at the Euro Japanese yen. I'm just taking it again. Again, you got to come into the support if you could even think about taking along. I wouldn't though. I could definitely envision and imagine the Euro holding its near-term support between where it is right now and about 14 pips lower in that area. And then if that happens, we could see a little bit of a reprieve here. Whether or not this resistance here breaks or not, we need to see if price retraces off of it, or ideally over here. I think you're looking to sell any rallies on the Euro Japanese yen, not buy any. You're coming down near support. The Canadian dollar is strong today, and here we looked at, what was it, on the Euro New Zealand dollar with the bias towards the euro. Here is the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, and I think you have the bias towards the Canadian dollar here. As you're coming down and you're testing the support. Do you wait for a breakdown? Yeah, I wait for a breakdown and then a retest, right? Canadian dollar, US dollar looks like it is, if and when the dollar turns, that might lead. It's come off quite high and we could see a nice move. New Zealand dollar, you're talking about, neighboring Australia, being tightly tied to the Asian economy. I give more weight here to the Canadian economy, tied more closely to the US economy. Pound Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar is strong today. I think. What do I think? Nothing. You're between this support and you're between this resistance. So the only play right now is if you're holding short is to continue to hold short, probably looking in this area, right, to see what you do next, whether that's move your stop to break even and hold the trade for a break, or, it's dependent then on the rate cut or take profits over there. But there's no edge over here. You're into a little supply over here. But I would not bet against the Canadian dollar. That's the strongest currency pair going into the session today. Oil's coming off a little bit, coming off the recent selling, so it's trading upwards. I think the next move that you want to look for you're also between support and resistance over here in oil. So you're looking to see if you get a retest over here, and looking to sell that if you retrace. I would not be taking a long on the British pound, which is showing weakness today versus the Canadian dollar. I'd be biased towards the Canadian dollar. I think that you still have a little room to go into that real support. There's a lot of momentum here to the downside. This might be a play actually for day traders. Yeah, short shot. Isn't that what you're looking for right there? GC. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen so far today is weaker than the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This also came into that support and held. Again, I would not be buying off of here. That would be buying weakness versus strength. The idea is to trade strength versus weakness. The support held on the first look. I think we're going much lower here. If and when in the timing is the question. Break below, and obviously, we have a deeper look. There's more other support lines in here as well, but I think this is just like on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. A question of selling any rallies. Perfect. I thought maybe I didn't have the right pair. I'm glad we got a look at it. There's a lot of momentum there on the pound Canadian dollar today, right? More so than the pound Australian dollar. Look, this is a perfect example of, going with the strength and weakness. Here you have pound is weak today. I think out of the two, obviously Canadian dollar is stronger. So if you're looking, to tier every bit of probability you have, go where the strength is. Pound Canadian dollar. Is this going to reverse this session? I doubt it. I think there's still some money to be made over there. We are about 5 minutes now to the U.S. equities open, and today it's a question of whether or not this higher open is sold. That's the question for me. That's what I'm looking for. Is the market perhaps trading up today, the futures, because they're looking forward to a dovish Fed tomorrow? That could be the case, and maybe you see the markets trade up until then. That's possible. You could see the Japanese yen is not really pricing that in as much as the equities are. And I lean towards where the Japanese yen there. I think that I don't think the Fed is going to be dovish tomorrow because of the coronavirus. It's too soon. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So, all right, here's a good example. I mean, New Zealand dollar took out this important level over here, this important support, and came all the way down into our next support. If the dollar comes into the resistance, are you looking to trade versus the New Zealand dollar? No, I think you would be looking. The New Zealand dollar is weak. Australian dollar is weak. Strength versus weaknesses. US dollar is strong, so you wouldn't want to buy here. I think probably the Canadian dollar has the best chance versus the US dollar if the dollar turns, as well as the euro. If the Bank of England doesn't cut, then also the pound. But I would not be looking to buy either the Australian dollar or New Zealand dollar. Actually, I would be looking if you get another, this is pretty strong support that was broken. If we get all the way up there, which I don't know that we will, I would look to sell that. I would be looking to selling up here. Now, if we break down below here, all right, then we'd look for a retest of this broken support. The support is a little higher, isn't it? If we look for a little retest over there and then the resumption down. We have a sell bias here in the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, but you're at support right now. All right. So are we going to break through this session? I have no idea. If I was holding this short, which I'm not, I might be looking to take some profits right now. The dollar does have some room up here and it's really spreading out now, but I don't know if this is gonna, what are your guys' thoughts? Are we gonna see some further dollar strength here, or are we getting close to where she turns? I think we just looked at the pound Canadian dollar. A lot of strength towards the Canadian dollar this morning, a lot of weakness towards the pound, right? You're between resistance and support here. So obviously the only trade would have been selling off of this. If you're short, you're still holding. This is the area that you're looking for, perhaps for a take profit, but you're not looking obviously to buy over here. If you're very short time frame main did, maybe during this session, she's got some more momentum to the downside here, but it's it's got a bearish bias right now. And in this session specifically, you're trading, I think the Canadian dollar is the strongest pair and the British pound is the weakest. So, stay with momentum. Don't trade against momentum. So the dollar, as we open right now, is making new highs as the U.S. equities open here. She's got room to the upside. Chef, I'm glad you got that couple of pips, but I want to see you trade better than that. And chasing the momentum here is not what we look for. All right, but I want you trading smarter with a higher probability so that you make money not just in one instance, but consistently over time. All right, really want you to work on that. I want to get you consistently profitable. So what are we looking at here? The DXY, obviously the Euro US dollar is coming down. It's testing the whole number over here. It's got a little bit further to fall. It's got the potential to fall a little further. to pretty strong support as the dollar has potential here to rise. But as Mark pointed out here in the opening, we're going to get a little bit of a look and see what happens next, whether or not this move holds over here and continues this momentum, which this type of momentum over here is usually when moves end. So I'm watching it closely. It's got much higher until it comes into a pocket of strong resistance. And your US dollar also has a little bit further to the downside. You can see that over there before area that's really of interest for us. My plan on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, of course, you break down below over here, right? Then you're really bearish. But I'm looking then also for a retest of this area over here and resumption downwards. If we get a spike up tonight on the CPI and we get the opportunity to take a look at this resistance, that would be a gift. I would look for price, obviously, to fail in that resistance. And I'm staying strongly minded the Japanese yen until I see things changing in China. Right now, each day, the numbers of cases and deaths continue to exponentially grow. Equity's kind of muted on the open, not really a big move one way or the other. Bitcoin making that push. Of course, you have to watch it if it gets up to 94 to see how price reacts around there. But I don't know. There's a lot of momentum building here on Bitcoin. Yeah, he's beautiful trading up there. I believe you took this. This was during the ECB, Heath, right? When you got short up here. Look at that entry. I haven't yet looked at the next levels down on the euro US dollar. Pound continuing to slide here. Australian dollar, Japanese yen joining in on that yen strength right now. And just out of curiosity, with the US dollar and the yen battling out, honestly, just who right now has the lead in that fight. And you can see this is the battle between the yen and the US dollar. And that's why it doesn't make sense to play strength versus strength. And that's what you have here. You have both pairs are extremely strong right now, right? So if you're trying to pick a winner between the two titans, That's not really an edge so much as playing, you know, either one of these versus weakness. Are you talking about the FOMC tomorrow? Are you asking tomorrow? Where will the press conference of the FOMC be? Beautiful. Dollar pushing out right now during New York up to 98.13. Still got a little ways before it comes into some strong resistance. Pound getting hit. Canadian dollar strong. Japanese yen super strong. US dollar super strong. Let's look at the pound Australian dollar, see if we can get a good look at her, find out the levels. Let me just copy this. So I got an area support down here. Let me look on the pound US dollar. All right. So we have a little bit more room down to the downside before we pull into some pretty decent support where you want to look at. I'm not saying the dollar is not going to turn during this session. Mark made a pretty astute comment that we're going to find out during New York Open over here. As far as the Australian dollar is definitely under trouble, yet stronger than the pound. I don't know. I don't necessarily like shorting over here. I think shorting over here, you made some good money, but you have to be careful about you're shorting against the trend, right? So leaning over here to buy, that makes more sense. You can see where the mouse is horizontally also. You could see that's also like light local support. Price came close to there. I'm not sure you got into the trade, but it is a counter trend trade, right? Why do I say counter trend? I mean, you know, I don't have a good read on it. Yeah, Eric, I'll pull that up in 1 second. Uh, Eric, I think you're going to need to send me the link. I'll take a look right now. Yeah, you need to go ahead and the Eric Trader, check it out. All you need to do is hit this camera button to take a snapshot, and then you're gonna get a link. Copy that link, right? And then just come into the private chats, and then hit this bubble here, right? Click that bubble, and then type my name, Jordan Lindsay, and then send that link that you copied. I didn't copy the link, but you copy the link of the snapshot and then send that, and then we could take a look at the chart. Stay blessed. What's going on? Good to see you today. Sanjay, we will look at that in a second. Sanjay, let's take a look at what you're saying. And Sanjay, if you have a chart with that drawn in, please do. All right. So Sanjay, if you have a chart, take a snapshot, send it over through the chat. I want to take a look at it. Now I'm focused in as far as any trend lines. I'm definitely focused in on this trend line over here, right? And you could see why. And we had a break out of that channel overnight. So that's a pretty important break. I don't see the trend line on the 4-hour because I don't see a couple of points to connect. I can't find the trend line, two trend lines to connect. So if you are able to send your chart, marked up, then we could take a look at it together. You definitely picked the top there on gold, which has since come into resistance again. We looked at this morning, US dollar, Swiss franc here. Now this is coming into a place of definite resistance over here, right? This is an opportunity to sell. If price resumes off of it, dollar is coming close to its resistance. Is not to say we can't take a look back over up here. That would be the dollar making towards the top of its resistance towards 85.50. 98.50, excuse me. This towards the top of this range, though, I think you have to lean towards sell side bias. If the dollar does make it all the way up into this pocket of resistance over here, not to say the dollar can't break through, but it's come high and heavy. Probably on the first look, it won't make it away. And the US dollar Swiss franc has two areas of resistance right above. Both are definite possibilities to look at selling into. This resistance and this resistance are both areas that you could look for sells against. Gold is continuing strong uptrend. Now, with the strong dollar, mind you, right? Now, you see this line over here, this trend line is going to zoom out, which comes in over here. You see these touches. And then over here, it was all support, right? And then since it's been resistance, and now we're back above it, and it looks like that's holding a support. This trend line looks like it's the line to play off of right now. We're resuming off of it right now, right? And if price continues making higher highs here, come down to the 4-hour, I think, not yet. Price has to make higher high than whatever time frame you're trading, than the previous price bar for an entry to get back long. Otherwise, here if we get below this trend line here, then I become with a sell bias. But although we came into the top of that resistance over there, I don't try to pick tops or sell bottoms. So I give gold, as long as this trend line's above this trend line, a bullish bias. No, Sanjay, what you need to do is just go to this camera button here and take a snapshot. Only you could look at that link. I can't. And then copy this link. It takes a snapshot of your chart, Sanjay. Then come over to private chats. Click this bubble. Type my name and send the chart. All right, so we get a look at it. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Australian dollar continues to be very weak. Obviously, I'm taking a look on the daily here. I mean, I think we're going to be making new lows. The question is when. Again, you have the CPI numbers out of Australia tonight. I do not know how the pair is going to react off of that. If you get any type of spike on the Australian dollar, I look at that as an opportunity to sell. You know, if you got, for some reason, the Australian dollar appreciated off of it, you got to look at this resistance. That's a gift, right? To look for a possible short up in this area. But you know, I think in the near term we're going to break down to new lows here. I think we're going to make further lows. All right. I'm just pausing one quick second. Take a couple of sips of tea. Marshall, I noticed boom, boom, boom. Burnt is down on the day. Brent, excuse me, is down pretty strongly on the day and actually trading below this support line over here. Call it 59.61. But WTI is trading up on the day. All right. Mixed. I you know, similarly to the Japanese yen, I think we're going to see oil, where we're going to see strength in the yen. I think we're going to continue to see weakness in oil. The only thing that could change that for the near term would be an escalation in the Middle East, where you'd see crude spike. I think that will ultimately be sold. China situation is going to be weighing on their economy. It's going to be weighing on the global economy, which is already in a pretty weak, fragile state. So, you know, right now, I think it's you're selling rallies on oil. Nice, Shifo. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to get through. We'll be watching it. As soon as it does, we'll take a look. My take on the virus is that I watch every day. It's around the Asian Open, you know, so I guess it's China releases the official numbers. Official is not the real numbers; it's their official numbers, and those numbers are growing as far as the amount of cases, the amount of those being observed, and the amount of deaths keep growing day over day exponentially. I know that I'm aware that it doesn't seem to be spreading at any type of increasing rate overseas right now, which is super positive and good. But it's increasing at an exponential rate within China, and this is really worrisome. Shifo. Nice, DJ. You're an animal on crude. Boom, 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 boom. Shifo, that's going to come through. Hang out with me. I'll just check on my mobile, see if it came through. Not yet. All right. So we'll keep watching. I don't have it yet. I don't know why. Stay with me. We'll get it. There is some charts that I want to show you as far as the virus is concerned. Right now, if anyone comes across anything that we need to move our attention to, please do that and let me know. Dre, that's a good question. I know right now they make up 20% of the world's GDP. That's enormous, 20%. I'm not sure if India or China, which has a higher population, they're both over 1 billion. I'm not sure. Just doing a quick scroll here to see if I can find this spreadsheets that shows it has the projected number of cases and deaths every day of the coronavirus growing exponentially. This chart was created a few days ago, and each day the numbers have come in and matched. It's pretty worrisome. This is perfect. This is an IP. I'm going to show it to you right now. We'll look at all those right now together. I'm just posting something into the chat right now first. I'm just posting something into the chat right now first. All right. So US dollar, Mexican peso. Whew. So I think we're waiting on any day. Or it could be tomorrow, right? What's going on with the USMCA? I think that's supposed to be signed, or was it just signed? I'm having deep trouble understanding what this move was about in the peso. I do see this big support that is holding right now, and the Mexican economy is so weak. It's in recession right now. There's nothing good to say about it. Yet the Mexican peso is acting stronger than the strong dollar. It's hard for me to understand and get a good grasp on, which makes it difficult to trade. But yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Look how strong the US dollar has been, yet the Mexican peso is even stronger. If this is an area, this is definitely a strong support area, but it's just very unclear to me. Very unclear. And you have a big swamp to trade against here. So unless you're looking for a sharp move to the upside, it's a tough trade. That's terrible. That didn't come out well. I'll do that when we're not live streaming, and I'll get that out to you guys tomorrow. It's the chart that everyone needs to see. Actually, I'll just tweet it on Twitter. Stay blessed. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. We've looked at this. Already looked at this. So you have you're in the habit clearly of buying bottoms and selling tops. And listen, that could work out in the short term, but it doesn't work out in the long run. Be very, very, very careful with that. There's nothing wrong with trying to, Paul Tudor Jones said the most money could be made on picking the turn, but that's if you're looking for a turn. Are you looking for the Australian dollar, Swiss franc to be bottoming out here? No, there's no way under the current conditions that you're looking for the Australian dollar to be bottoming, and Swiss franc to be bottoming here, and this to be an actual turn. You're picking bottoms. Be very careful because you have that tendency. You'll make much more money, in downtrends selling resistance, and in uptrends buying support. I have no idea. This is going to be a nice look because I'm not familiar with the pair. This is the Euro Norwegian krone, and I'm just going to, without reading your comment, see what we're seeing here. And so it looks like we've came up and busted above this resistance over here. I'm not sure what kind of swamp this pays. And this is holding over here. This is with a weak euro. Euro's been selling off lately, and now you're above this support over here. You're getting the retest now. So I like this trade a lot, because if you start trading up off of it and resume by making higher highs here, then you have a buy entry to take advantage. If you don't make higher highs and you lose this broken resistance that didn't hold the support, okay, then you have opportunity to the downside. So this is a great area to be looking to focus in on the pair, because you have this beautiful line right here that is offering you a place to know right away where you're right or you're wrong. Right now, you have to have an upside bias, and that would mean that price holds this support over here and then makes higher highs than the previous price bars. And that looks like a good entry. And again, if this is a false break and you start trading below this broken resistance and it doesn't hold the support, and then you have room to the downside. Hanero, what's going on? Good to see you. Shifo, I don't know why this never came through. If you're on Twitter, could you go ahead and send me that to Twitter? Or maybe you first need to go ahead and to send the message, you might need to be following me first. Go ahead, Shifo, and click on this link. Make sure you're then following me, and then send me the message. That might work. Otherwise, just go ahead and send it to the link to Twitter as a private message. Let's take a look around here. US dollar is still at the whole number here, with the DXY coming off a little bit. Australian dollar, US, Japanese yen unchanged on the day. It's got some CPI numbers later today. Could be waiting for that news. Yen coming off a tiny bit over the last half hour, right? But the other thing you could try doing is right here. The other thing you could try doing is right here in the chat is put the link here in the chat like this. Take the screenshot, copy the link, put it here, and then remove, just remove the tradingview.com. This is the link of your screenshot. Type that, and that's all you need to do. That'd be the easiest way. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Yep. I think that, who did I talk about this with? Again, I think why I thought this possibly could be bottoming. Now I lean towards this going on to make lower lows over here in the near future. I just don't know what happens today, how the Australian dollar reacts to the CPI numbers. If you get the opportunity, a spike, and you could sell off this resistance again on all Australian dollar pairs. If you get a spike today, it's an opportunity to look to sell that spike. You got nice resistance over here if you get a retest of it. Otherwise, I want to see this start making lower lows than the previous price bar. But I am definitely biased toward the downside over here. And I think in the near term, over the next week or two, we're going to be making lower lows over here. Shifu, the other thing that you could do, and probably easier, is right here in the chat, post the link, and then just remove the tradingview.com. So you just have the last part of that snapshot and post it there in the chat. Your Euro US dollar is holding the whole number by the skin of its teeth. The XY is still towards the highs of its day with pretty good strength. Beautiful, beautiful stay blast. Nice trade. Very nice trade. That's what we want to see. Canadian dollar is strong on the day. Over here on the 8-hour, I'm not taking this over here. I'm waiting to see if we break down below. This support no longer holds. The dollar still has potential here to keep rising into this resistance area a little bit higher. Not saying it can't turn earlier, but it's not looking good. There we go. Shifu. All right. Thanks for the persistence on that and getting this to us. Appreciate that. This is looking at the pound US dollar. This is looking at 1-hour chart. And let's see what you're focused in on over here. We have the same line of support over there. And we also have that same trend line over here. Or is mine different? Let me compare charts. Little different. Okay. Yeah. So I see these two touches over here. And then, so this is where it gets a little dicey. You're comparing maybe this touch and then that spike. But this is the hard part about drawing trend lines. I see it. Okay, Shifu. I definitely see it. And I see how price reacted around there. Coming into that support right there. This trend line over here this sloping trend, probably has a better chance moving this horizontal line down a little bit lower. You see the closes over here, down over here. That's going to coincide with a touch towards that trend line. I'd move this one down a little bit. So the thing about drawing on, I mean, you're trading on the 1 hour time frame. You have really nice annotations over here, and everything's good. I prefer drawing mine off of the daily, and then focusing in on the stronger points. But everything you have here looks very good, very good. I also prefer keeping things simple. This is getting messy for me. I have to clean this up in a little bit. But good lines in there. Is the Australian dollar, US dollar bottoming out? Listen, I don't think so. There's the possibility that this support over here holds going into tonight's CPI numbers. But, check back in a week from now, and I think this support gives way, breaks. Do you think that there's a chance of the current fear in the market abating right now in this moment today? I don't think so at all. Things do not look good right now for the Australian dollar. There's a good chance that this support holds going into tonight, unless the dollar really starts peaking out here and you see a burst of strength. Then maybe it doesn't hold. But there's a chance this holds through tonight's numbers. If you get a spike in tonight's numbers, if you get a look into this resistance up here, or this sloping trendline resistance, fantastic place to look for selling the Australian dollar, US dollar. But trying to pick a bottom here, you're look at this downtrend. This failed. This breakout over here of this year-long trend line is now failed, and now you're into this critical support. If this gives way to the downside, we're going lower. There's no need to be a hero and pick the bottom here. Odds are, if the dollar reverses here, that it's going to be the euro or the Canadian dollar putting up the most gains against it, but not the Australian dollar. That's my opinion. This is not the first person that in this morning has said to me they think the Australian dollar, US dollar is bottoming. And again, just don't be in the you got to flip the mindset of looking to pick bottoms and sell tops. There's no reason to do that right now. I think after this failed, while we were above this trend line, I was looking to pick the bottom, right? This was me trying to pick the bottom, was above this trend line. But now that we failed, this looks like we're getting ready to break down further, not bottom out here. And maybe over the next 12 hours, it's the bottom. But that's a dangerous trade to take. Yeah. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Wait, I want to get a timestamp on here. Only because someone else asked me about that. Let's look at the Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Right. Again, this looks very similar to the Australian dollar, US dollar. We're coming down here towards the bottom. So try and trade against it. That's picking bottoms. We already looked at this morning. The only way that you see here is any spike is opportunity to sell. Right now, you're selling rallies. Where's the next resistance? You know, right around 0.6592 and up into 0.66115 is an area, a sell zone to look into. Buying down here and taking this counter trend trade doesn't work out in the long run. Yeah, so euro Australian dollar should be sorry. Okay, so it looks like she's trying to get above, or it might have already gotten above this resistance over here. Because if you go ahead and put it right, this to me looks like it's holding so far this broken resistance as support. I would have below the low over here, right around there, where my mouse is right now. Could the Australian, again, I have it in my head, in my mind, that it's possible that the Australian dollar, has a spike tonight. But long term here, I'm leaning against the Australian dollar across the board. Definitely favor the euro on against the Australian dollar here. Is that the best place? This is two weak currencies. I think the euro is the better looking currency right now than the Australian dollar, and will be, for the immediate future. How far out we looking? Let's talk the next 1 to 3 weeks. For sure that it looks like the euro is going to be the better looking of the two. And I see the Australian dollar depreciating versus basically everything. But timing is everything. You got a high impact news event out today, and there look to be other currencies to take advantage of versus the Australian dollar than the euro. For example, the Japanese yen, the US dollar, and the Swiss franc, right? Those are the stronger currencies in this environment. Those are play the strength versus the weakness. Don't go for two moderately weak currencies and pick the better of the two. The better of the two here is the euro. But go strength versus weakness. Heath, well done. Reverses or not, you're so close to a really strong area that, hey, listen, you're great trade for real. Really good job. No, do all gaps from yesterday need to be closed? So yesterday was Monday. There was huge gaps that obviously we expected. We talked about over in the weekly Forex forecast. Do these gaps need to be closed? It could be a long time before they're closed. They could be closed, so during the SARS epidemic, right? It was the markets reversed before the WHO wound up saying that the threat had dissipated, ceased, and it could be a long time before these gaps close. Let's just put it that way. It could be a long time before these gaps close, and I got my entry over here, 142.94 towards the close on Friday, and then have the gap down. I'm holding that. The only thing that could possibly get me stopped out here in the next couple of days would be the Bank of England not cutting rates and the pound depreciating greatly off of it. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I took the trade on the open, on the gap down. I took the trade on the open down here. So I'm around, 74.22. I'm holding that trade. And I'm looking to sell into this resistance if we get up here. I'm not looking for these gaps to close, anytime soon. Yeah. So, gaps closed until they don't. There's such a thing as the runaway gaps, right? Where price gaps and then runs away. So that's the situation I'm looking for here. Equity is making a nice run after yesterday's losses. This is just for in my mind is just a retrace of the sharp move down. This is only about, I would say, on the S&P, it's about half of yesterday's move. On the Dow, not even close, right? So I don't know if this is the U.S. equities hoping for a dovish Fed tomorrow or what, but I don't think that's in the cards. On the Euro Swiss franc, yeah, my bias is to the short side. I could see over here. This nice area. This is our new resistance to be looking at. All right. If the euro does hold support over here and retraces up a little bit, maybe we get to lean into this trend line. So I'd watch this trend line also. Those are the areas of interest. This area down here is the first area to look to sell. Get above it. You have this area over here to look to sell. I could even just make this easier and turn this to red. And then break out of that, you still got this area over here. I'm definitely biased to the downside here, but this candle over here that was put in during London today, could be a near-term reversal. I'd watch how price reacts in this area, start making lower lows. You got a lot of momentum here. Yeah, definitely downside biased, but a little cautious towards the lows. Yes, good trade there. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Breaking down below that support now also, right? So this is a really good pair to be watching. A really good pair to be watching. Now, for me, when you also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 days in a row of complete down pars. I'm waiting here for this to finish bottoming out, and I'm looking then for a retrace. Pull up the entry CCI here. You could also just wait for this to come back positive, the entry CCI, the blue line against the downtrend, and then when price resumes, get in here. But below this broken support here, this looks really solid to the downside. Put that as in purple, and it's definitely highly in play. Rustin, What's going on with the Australian? What's going on with the Australian Central Bank? First of all, when's the next meeting? I'm not sure when the next meeting is. Am I missing it? Oh, let's go back. Here we go. So we got it on Monday, and the expectations for a rate cut. I wasn't aware of that, Rustin. That definitely goes well into my assessment of the Australian dollar. Obviously, with the situation going on right now towards their region of the world, that's probably even more likely. Again, for me, it's sell any rallies in the Australian dollar at the moment. I expect it to depreciate against every currency. As far as the Bank of England, though, which is Thursday, the market's pricing in a 50-50 cut. And here the forecast is actually have them on hold. I'm leaning towards a cut, and if there's a cut, that's going to really then, especially if the forecast has them on hold, that's going to really see that the pound depreciate, right? If the market's already expecting them to be on hold, then if they don't cut, then there's a good chance that's priced in, and we see further pound weakness because the market is then looking forward for the cut next. So I have a negative bias towards the British pound and a much more negative bias towards the Australian dollar. Yeah, and the gift I'm looking for that is if tonight the CPI numbers, if it causes the Australian dollar to spike. U.S. consumer confidence came in way high. If it causes it to spike, I think it's an opportunity to then wait for a price to show you that it's retracing and sell that spike. I'm not saying you're going to get a spike, but if you get a spike, Australian dollar, that's an opportunity to sell any rallies. Diaz are on. Of course, it's always timing and time frame that you're trading on. I'm looking at this, from a swing trade standpoint. And here with the Australian dollar, US dollar, I could not take a trade. So if you're shorting down here, I mean, that's an aggressive trade. Shorting a breakout, right? It's not a high probability move. And just be aware, like if you're fading gaps and you're fading breakouts, you're taking a very you're taking a very low probability trades. So let's take a look at the S&P right here. And right now, let me turn it off of here. And I prefer the without the gaps. We're coming up in here now into resistance over here from yesterday, and any retrace off of that, I definitely like selling any retraces right now on the indices. We do have the Fed tomorrow, and if the market's looking for a dovish Fed, which I don't think they're going to get, there's the possibility here that we continue, slightly trading up until that news. Tomorrow could be the trigger for sell the news, right? But right now, look at this pattern. See this large deep sell off, and then this mild up. This is normally a continuation pattern to the downside once you start making lower lows. I really like the S&P to the downside here, but not until price takes you into the trade and gives you a type of confirmation that the resistance over here is holding. New Zealand dollar, who's selling? I mean, everyone, Canadian dollar is strong, right? Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar weak. Below this support over here now, right? Now for me to get into this trade, which I'm not in now, but I'm watching this one now. You see it's purple. If we get this finishes its move down here below the broken support, and if it comes up and takes a look at the broken support, and if it holds as resistance and then price gets me into the trade, I will then look to short the trade. Again, I'm looking for that high probability trade. I take about 3 trades a week. I'm very picky about my setups, and I'm looking for not just to trade. Man, I have 20 years of trading. I can't imagine how many trades I've taken in my life. It's about taking the good ones. And right now, for me, that's holding the pound Japanese yen short and holding my Australian dollar Japanese yen short. Very bearish. And always just going back and ingraining in your mind, always learning from the charts, reviewing the trades you don't take. So important. You see this trend line over here. This is the entry right over here. Broken trend line down into the support. This is resistance. Never broke. Appreciate everyone going ahead and showing their support for the live stream, giving the thumbs up, which of course, does 2 things. Obviously, she shows your appreciation for this, as well as it helps the Google algorithm know that, hey, listen, the people who are watching appreciate it, and we should show it to more people. DXY making new highs of the day. Euro, again, barely holding the whole number here, but it's putting up a fight. Blair, if you're online, if you know, do we have any moving averages that she's fighting right now? Let's take a look at gold. Gold's getting now down below this line of resistance over here. This is a place to look. I think if you see price resume off it, to lean into, to look for a buy. And now if this continues to break down over here, then you have to be short side biased. If I wouldn't just take the break ever. I always look for a retest. So also horizontally, I could even see a line of support over here that she's trading at right now. So gold's at a pretty good area. Anyone who took the counter trend trade, they have to be watching it carefully right now. You got this light support. So you got two things in play. I got this trend line and the support over here. Holding above here and resuming upwards, it's a place to look to buy into gold. If she breaks down over here, then I think that she's going further down, probably towards 1553, 1554 in that area. $15.55. No, I don't ever look at fib levels. Again, there are so many different things you could look at and make a viable system off of, including moving averages alone. But you want to keep things as simple as possible, and you do not want to have be focusing on too many things. Otherwise, you're going to get lots of conflicting signals, and you're not going to know where to focus in on. Trading is so complex. One of the best things you can do is simplify it down and make it as simple as possible when it comes to indicators. I definitely see a new wave coming into the markets. I see the next wave coming in. I know that tomorrow is a big day, the FOMC. Anything that you see pure technically before the FOMC, you gotta like it. It could be a trigger, but the FOMC could be trading after the FOMC. Could really set you up to miss the moves. So as these setups are coming into the market overnight during London tonight, could be a really good opportunity for a lot of trades. I'll definitely I have my eye on a few different things. I will be letting you know through Telegram today. So if you're not already in that, go ahead and if you want to receive those alerts later today, just go ahead and add yourself to that Telegram group, and then I'll post the videos on TradingView and send you the alerts. Canadian dollars is I love our lines. You can see the resistance, broke the resistance, came up into it. It's holding us support and held the support again. If and when this breaks to the downside, I think that we're going to see some follow through, probably close to this area over here, at least. US dollar is struggling. Now, the closer we are here on the US dollar, Japanese yen, the closer we get towards this resistance areas over here. I still like this one the best, the lower end of this blue box. And reversal off there, that's an opportunity, I think, to sell. So lots of pairs are setting up and getting close to set up across the whole market. So I'm going to take a look at the purple ones that we got as far as the biggest possibilities. Again, this would be the Canadian dollar is strong today. It's very strong versus a strong dollar. If we break below this broken resistance, which so far is holding us support, that definitely seems like a nice trade to the downside. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar here, which is taking out this support right now, trading below it. Let's see how far down it bottoms out. Wait for a retest. If this holds as resistance and price starts making lower lows, That looks like a good trade. Both of those are Canadian dollar minded. The euro Australian dollar, again, Australian dollar, I expect further weakness as Rustin just gave us a look at the calendar. They're expected to also cut rates on the 3rd, on Monday the 3rd. So that puts a weak bid under it. If you get any type of spike tonight on the Australian dollar from the CPI, I think that's a great opportunity to look to sell against it. I'm bullish biased here on the Australian dollar, US dollar, as long as we hold here above. Let's put a support line in there. Let me do it like this. There you go. As long as we hold above this area over here and resume upwards, bullish bias there, but that's not as nice as these two trades. US dollar, Canadian, US dollar, Japanese yen. The closer we get leaning into this resistance over here, I definitely like it. Why it's possible the euro is bottoming here. Oof, you seem to be trading versus a lot. Look at that. Anita's head and shoulders pattern definitely played out perfectly. There's the neckline, and then you could see this is almost come down and reach its full potential. I'm not looking to pick bottoms here and trade against the current strength we have over here. Although there's a chance on first look that the US dollar holds where it is right now. Australian dollar is down near this important support. Again, I expect within the next week, we have broken down through it to the downside, but right now the support is holding after this really big, strong down move. Any rallies is an opportunity to sell on the Australian dollar. Pound has broken below this trend line over here. Excuse me. You can see the market is just is technically taking out lots of important levels and really changing. You have the Bank of England on Thursday meeting. Market expects them to be on hold. A rate cut is really going to cause us to really sell off. Risk is down negative towards on the pound right now. US dollar, Swiss franc, we're coming up into some resistance right now. A reversal off this is definitely an opportunity to sell. At the same time, you also have another look above you at some further resistance. So keep watching this pair. Noah Trading, what's going on? Good to see you. Welcome. Gold. We just look at gold probably a minute ago. With stay blessed. You asked to look at gold not 10 minutes ago. We just looked at it. Nothing's changed. Guys, don't be emotional. Guys, girls, everyone, listen. You can't be emotional trading. If you find yourself that you're emotional when trades are going for you, that's a very bad sign. That means when trades goes against you, you're going to be even more emotional. You need to really be detached. If you're trading position sides that are too big, you're going to be emotional. You can't be detached. That means that you're going about it all wrong. The idea is to trade smart. All right. You have to take calculated moves. You have to put probability in your favor. No. The Australian dollar right now has a very strong bearish bias. And the central bank is looking also to be cutting rates on top of that next week. Why does it have a bearish bias? Because we're seeing enormous risk off in the markets. Also, the Australian dollar is leading the way because it is so tightly tied to the Chinese economy. There doesn't look like in the near term that that situation is going to change. The central bank's also looking to cut rates. That's bearish on the currency. It looks like this current, and even worse, technically, let me show you on the daily time frame. This is the Australian dollar, US dollar. You could see that you had this big trend line break. This is a year-long trend line break. So here is when we got bullish, but this has failed. And now if you take out this support down here, it gets really ugly. This is also happening on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Same thing. This is that year-long break. Right here is when you finally get, this is a downtrend. Here's where you could start taking looks at getting bullish, trying to pick a bottom when you see a trend line break like that. But look, it's failing. Get below this support right here in the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We're coming down. We're testing much lower and maybe even soon trading at yearly lows. So there's a big bias to the Australian dollar. So if tonight the CPI causes any type of spike in the pair, that's an opportunity to look for the closest resistance right over there. You see it on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. If you get a look at there and then price holds the resistance and starts resuming downwards, that's a high probability entry and a gift. So that's where your focus, needs to be. Thank you, Rustin. Appreciate that. How much high could the dollar go? Guys, girls, I want to say, when we were in this situation, right over here, if you go back to the weekly Forex forecasts, I was talking about this is a bull flag. It looks like a bull flag. And if we break out to the upside, this is only the first area of resistance we have, right? And we will look for price to hold over here. But, I've been saying 99.50, a retest of that could absolutely be in the cards. um and it still is for sure, even more probable now. And of course over here is when the central bank, at least President Trump, is going to be really talking about the dollar and trying to talk it down. And the central bank could take some moves perhaps, but we still got a lot of dollar strength ahead of us. And um you got to position yourself accordingly. Right now, it's one of the more clear signals in the market of what's going on. Zoran, I appreciate that very much. Thank you for that. Euro US dollar is putting up a fight here. Ah, nice, Rustin. Let's take a look. Market's down big. Netflix is up. And not only is Netflix up, Netflix looks like it could be breaking outside of this triangle. Right? Super interesting. Tesla is, wow, gapped up pretty big and is still holding this parabolic move over here. All right, let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see if the markets sell off over here. The S&P's up now 1%. So it's pretty high. Tesla is down since the market opened, where the market has continued to put up gains. And then where's our Beyond Meat? This looks like a sell here. Now, the market's up big time. This is coming off, but at the same time, let's draw this in because we have a series of lower highs and then also higher lows. So it's a little premature. Let's see which way she breaks. S&P coming up into resistance now. It's put up some sizable gains today off of yesterday's tremendous down move. So we've had a very good look around. There's a lot setting up. There's a lot developing. There's a lot of opportunity. This is coming to the point where um, getting ready to take advantage of adding to positions here. That's really telling, right, Rustin? Trump was very vocal that if an embassy is attacked, he's going to retaliate. The U.S. embassy was attacked. There was damage done, and nothing. Now, it could have been done by it might not have been done necessarily directly through Iran. It could be people who are on their side, on their cause, and they could have done it trying to escalate the situation. And I'm all for as little war as possible, right? And this is the first president I think in my lifetime that we've had. Maybe Bill Clinton was not. Since George Bush Jr., that has not been so war minded. So kind of like that, but it doesn't look like they're trying to escalate the situation. That the U.S. is not trying to escalate the situation. I mean, we're still in definitely risk off right now, right? We're at some important levels though, just looking here, right? And we're just pausing, and we're not spiking, we're consolidating. You got to get above here on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen to feel like you've lost momentum. Any opportunity to test into there, and if that holds, is a great opportunity to get short. Right now, you're still holding this trend line as resistance. So when the next wave of risk comes on, right, that could be triggered at any moment. But patience. Yeah, that's where I'm at, Rustin. Question is we're running into the resistance over here, whether or not this is going to be a place where if we hold over here. I definitely would lean towards this resistance right here that the S&P is trading into holds. Let's see on the Dow, you got some resistance right over there. Also, we're in a place of resistance. I'm looking for this to hold. Be rejected by holding. I don't think that we're going to trade above it. If we do, okay, then you can reassess the situation. But I think we sell off here. I think my game plan is, to add 2 positions on any retraces. Euro still battling out over here. Heath, I think it was a great move in taking profit. And that's not to say that we definitely even hold the support over here now, but nevertheless, just a great trade. Gold holding that support as of right now, but not yet making any higher highs. What's going on? Does anyone want to look at anything? I feel like I'm pretty content. I love this type of moments in the markets. You know, things are setting up with a little bit of clarity. There's momentum, a lot happening. I really like it, but at the same time, you know, just to point out, even when I get myself in some really good trades, I don't get emotional about it. Um, you know, to the you know, when they're going for me or go against me, I stay detached. If you find yourself when you're have a good trade on, if you find yourself very emotional about it, it's a very bad sign. You have to start working on yourself, because that means if you have a trade going against you, at the same time you're going to be more emotional. It's really important if you want to stay detached that you're trading with a good position size. Some momentum picking up here. Yeah, so this was the broken support here. This was the support here. It broke. Here was the retest. So you know, the entry is over there if you're trading on a short time frame. I'm waiting on a longer time frame for this to bottom out, for a retest. This is the bottom out. All right, for a retest up of this broken support to hold as resistance, and then a resumption down. That's on my radar. Zoran, right? Lots of work here, though. They're having trouble pushing her to the downside at this point, but she's not putting on any gains whatsoever. Yeah, Zoran, I get into specifics on risk per trade and position sizes in the course. You can find that link right over here. This is the, by the way, the price went up last night for the pre-launch price to $75 monthly. And that will be through the launch this Saturday on February 1st. At that point, the course will be sold separately from the trade copying service. Right now, the trade copying is included in the price of the course for the pre-launch. This is an important level here in the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I mean, there's a chance right now on the Euro US dollar that this area of support holds. Trade it with really big caution. Dollar index is not really running into any type of resistance overhead at the moment. Not to say it can't turn over here. What do you got? So horizontally, you do have this area, slight area over here. This is where the heavy supply zone is. So you got heavy resistance still a little ways away. We've come up hot and heavy out of this breakout though. It would not be abnormal. Euro US dollar is trading near this area of support. And I think it's more of, at this point, look to sell rallies, not look to take the counter trade, right? So hopefully the Euro US dollar bottoms out here for now, but you're looking to sell rallies, not buy the bottom. Now the US dollar, Canadian dollar breaking below here. If the euro is turning and the dollar is turning, the strength is over here on the US dollar, Canadian dollar, right? Break below this. This was resistance, and this is not little resistance. This is big resistance. This green line, and now it's green because once it broke, it was tested as support, and it's support right now. If this support gives way and we break out to the downside, I think you have a better opportunity focusing here than on the euro. Go with the strength. What's this stronger versus the US dollar today? The Canadian dollar or the euro, right? They're close, but the dollar is down about the euro is down about 0.12% against the dollar, and the Canadian dollar is up more than that. So the Canadian dollar is a lot stronger than the euro today. Gold is holding that support that we looked at when you asked. Gold is holding this support. Again, it has to break below the support in order to be looking down over here. But right now it looks to be holding and start making higher highs here. You gotta look to get long gold if you start making higher highs than the time frame you're trading. Not until you get below here, or do you have a short bias into the support down here? Yeah, Zoran, I take trades, swing trades. I have some every trade I'm in right now has a negative bias. I'm short the pound Japanese yen and the Australian dollar Japanese yen, and the swamp's against me, but I make much more money in the trade. Same thing here on the US dollar Canadian dollar. You could take the swamp against you, and if we break down, and it's not going to affect you. Now, position trading the euro US dollar, that's a big swamp to be holding against you for a prolonged period of time. But nevertheless, never trade a pair because the swamp is positive or negative, because you always make or lose so much more money on the trade itself than the swamp. So in order to see the currency strength, um, what I mainly look over is over here on the right, and you can see the percentages down and up. Right, this is what I look at, and so that sincerely may be more of a trained eye, right? Because I'm able to look over here, for example, you know, this is the pound Australian dollar. It's down 0.4%, right? The Australian dollar, US dollar, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar is up, is again, I'm sorry, but the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar is down 0.4%. That means the Canadian dollar is real strong. I know the US dollar because the US dollar index is trading up strong today, and the Canadian dollar is making gains versus the US dollar strongly. That the Canadian dollar is very strong, right? I'm able to look around and see where the strength and the weakness is. By looking over here, there are many. If you do a simple Google search for currency strength indicator, there are many online heat maps and tools that will show you the strongest and the weakest currency. And I highly recommend that because it's probably easier for you to visualize. Yeah, that's a very good question. Twofold. Yeah, I'm not trading them. I do have a definitely sell side bias. And if you remember on Friday, we were looking at how the central banks were removing liquidity. And I made a big point of saying when the central banks remove liquidity, usually the indices follow. And, whether or not this is coronavirus risk off related, or if this is central bank removing liquidity related, I'm not sure. But we're seeing that down move. And right now I have definitely a short bias. The only thing that can change that short bias right now would be the Fed tomorrow. If they came out surprisingly dovish, and if the central bank is going to step in and either if they begin, pushing back on the liquidity, I follow the central banks right now. In this moment, they started removing the liquidity, and we sold off. Could this be because of the situation in the global economy, coronavirus? Yeah, it could be either one of those. But I have this right now for me is sell any rallies. If this resistance holds here and you see price coming off, I would be more inclined to sell it. And not only like, great question, because you obviously I've been very clear about do not get in the way of central bank liquidity. Here they were adding liquidity. I don't know how to find that chart right now. There we go. This is a look at that chart. So if not QE, when the Fed was adding liquidity, did not contribute to the equity rally, then it will certainly not have an impact in the opposite direction. So that's sarcasm, right? And here you could see, let me zoom in a little bit. This blue line over here is the global money supply in US dollars. And this is where they're adding liquidity. Don't step in front of it. Don't step in front of it. Don't step in front of it. And here they start taking it away. right? And you could see every time they take it away, look at the market, take it away, market, take it away, market, right? So whether or not this current move was because of them taking away liquidity, which I gather has a big reason to do with it, or also because of after opening up the weekend with the tone of the risk off, I also think that has a reason to do with it. So super cautious over there. It's just right here in the link. Forex Trading Academy in the description of the video you're watching right now. You could just sign up on that website right there. So looking forward, always looking forward, the next big thing. I mean, of course, Australian dollar traders, you have the CPI tonight. I do not know how that's going to affect the currency. If we do see any spikes, I'm inclined to look for, the first sign of retrace and sell those spikes. I think that would be a gift. Don't forget, we have the expected rate cut out of the Central Bank of Australia on Monday. And also forward looking, tomorrow's the FOMC. Markets are going to become definitely focused in on what the Fed says. Whether or not we're going to be live tomorrow for the Fed, I'll let you know during the live stream tomorrow whether or not I'm going to be able to be live for that. Euro is doing its best here to hold support down here. The yen is slightly coming off a little bit here as well. I believe Rustin was looking at possible bottom in the yen futures. I'm still definitely holding my short yen positions. And reason being is at any moment things could escalate that situation. So I'm comfortable holding those positions. Yeah, Mark, I'm sure you're going to be all over crushing that. Is the US dollar, Canadian dollar gaining momentum now? Taking another look at the support. Yeah. Yep. Let's look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar right now. I am again, I'm short the Australian dollar, Japanese yen from the opening on Monday, Asia, and I'm short the pound Japanese yen from I got in about an hour before the close from 142.92 on Friday, and I'm holding both those shorts, and I'm looking to possibly add to both of them. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. So, and then right afterwards, we're going to look at the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar also. But over here, you can see. So first of all, let me turn this clearly to now resistance. I don't even know that I need it over there. I don't think we're getting up there for a long time. So we have over here, down here, this support, which is looks like it's breaking right now. It's holding. We're close. We get below here, right? And I think probably by next week, this is where we're trading, down here towards the lows over here. All right, I do think that. I think that you have a cut coming out of the Australian Central Bank, and more than that, I'm going to keep that support right now until it breaks, because it might not break before tonight. Right? Maybe the market's going to wait for the CPI numbers to get out of the way, but or maybe not. But right now, this support is holding. You're on a precarious support. It doesn't look like it's too strong. I'm looking for further Australian dollar weakness, and you can see this playing out also on the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Except worse, we've broken the support. We're trading below the support over here. If you ask me why, again, it's because the Australian dollar has some data over its head, so therefore it's not yet making the move. New Zealand dollar is nothing on the calendar. Canadian dollar is trading stronger against it. I expect the Canadian dollar continues to trade stronger than both of them in the near term. Also, yeah, Euro, Australian dollar, again, you have big market news coming out today. It looks to me that this resistance over here is broken and it's now becoming support. I'm not looking to take the long here. I think the market goes long here and this trades up from here. As long as you're above this area over here, is very bullish. And I think we start trading out of here to the upside. However, I think there's better choices of trades than this trade. All right. I think there's better choices. For example, you're looking to short the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Looks like a better trade than longing the euro versus the Australian dollar. But I think this trade's higher right now. Be careful. It looks like this broken resistance. It looks like this is broken resistance holding that support. Normally, we're looking to sell off of resistance, but to sell off resistance in downtrends. This is not really a downtrend since the beginning of the year, right? For this past month, it's in a pretty strong uptrend. Yeah, it's come all the way back up. It's testing this resistance. It did up here, came down, and then started making higher lows, and now took it again. This time we spiked above. Listen, I think we're going to see Australian dollar weakness over the next couple of weeks, definitely over the next week. So I can't take. I would not be biased to the short side here. That's my view. That's just my guys. I'm just trying to give you my insight for you to make your decisions off of, and to offer any help where I can. Yeah, I am watching the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, and so what? I don't take the breakouts or breakdowns. This is currently a breakdown, right? So you see these yellow marks over here. If price comes up and then tests this broken support, and now it holds as resistance, meaning it doesn't trade above there, and then price resumes downwards, making lower lows, then I'm going to take this trade. if we just continue trading down all the way to here, then I never get in the trade. All right. But the odds of a breakdown or a breakout continuing without first testing that broken support or resistance is low. More often than not, they do. So I wait for that confirmation. And the reason I wait is because maybe she trades back up and never gives me the entry. So I'm stalking that pair, and I'm looking for an entry, and I'm interested in it. He looks like a fantastic exit on your US dollar trade. Really, really, really solid. You're buying the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm watching this very closely for a sell. Why? Because dollar's been hot and heavy for a little while. It makes only sense for a small retrace on the dollar. Your US dollar, Canadian dollar is still in a strong downtrend, and now coming into areas of resistance. This area is holding of resistance. So if you're selling off of this resistance holding, now price is making lower lows. I would wait for the confirmation of making lower lows here on this below this support over here. Canadian dollar is very strong today, and the dollar starting to weaken. So trading against the Canadian dollar is you're trading against strength. Canadian dollar is the strongest pair today. Dollar has been strong, Canadian dollar stronger, and now dollar weakness is starting, to come into the market a little bit just over the last hour. So trading against, strength, just be careful. Yep, it is a support as well. 100% agree with you. This trend line is support, but however, it looks like it's going to fail and break. And again, the reason why is Canadian dollar is super strong with a strong dollar, and now the dollar, is giving signs of perhaps coming off a bit. So euro, Canadian dollar, that would be a very good pair to look at here. The only thing is the euro is stronger than both the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar. You want to go strength versus weakness. So you could see that you see how we're sideways over here, right? And the odds are this continues. Those two are relatively strong. So you're going with, or I should say moderately strong pairs versus each other. The weak pairs are right now in the current environment are the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar, right? These are two. So you have better chance going either Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, or New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Pound versus euro. Sorry, euro versus pound. We have it's a little tough, right? Definitely euro has the edge and momentum's with the euro. Definitely today coming off of this support. You have resistance overhead. And again, we have the Bank of Canada on Thursday, and it's a little bit iffy what's going to happen there. I would not be inclined right now to be looking to sell this resistance. Maybe up here, If you get up here, I like the odds of selling this resistance a lot better. If we are rejected by this resistance here, that's a good sign. But listen, the pound has a weak tone to it right now, and I think that's going to continue through the rest of the week. I think even if the central bank doesn't cut, that the market is then going to be still looking to the next central bank meeting to see what they do, and it's going to be really data dependent. So I just don't think there's a high probability to focus in over there at the moment. Seeing yen come off a bit and dollar come off a bit, and it looks like the S&P is testing pretty hard that resistance. Yeah, but it's just here right now, right? Exactly where price is trading right now. You're just at resistance right now, so it's too soon to tell. Absolutely. That's what we do. All right, everyone. I think this is a good place for us to end today's session. Again, because you guys exploded on the likes, and I just want to say thank you for that. That definitely helps the Google algorithm show this video to other people, and that's awesome. So I appreciate you on that. Fun session. I'm really enjoying the market right now, and I hope that this type of environment continues, because this is just a lot easier to manage when things are a little bit more iffy and uncertain, and very enjoyable. That's the love of the market, just always watching day by day as more information comes into it, watching how things unfold together. Hey, listen, I hope you all have a really wonderful day, and I look forward to sharing more and seeing you guys tomorrow.